Hello, and welcome to my long-term review of the Toro Recycler 22-inch, model number 21445. I will be talking about my experiences with ownership and use, maintenance and reliability, my successes and failures. Here's some details about this unit. It's a 22-inch cut, single-speed, front-wheel drive, self-propel. It has a steel deck, and it can mulch, bag, and rear discharge. It has 8-inch front wheels, 9.65-inch rear wheels, and it comes in at 70 pounds. It has a 150cc Briggs & Stratton engine with no oil change option. It also has the stow and go feature where you're able to flip the unit up on its rear wheels to save space. So let's get into the reason why I chose this mower in the first place. I have about 10 yards to cut. And I needed something with self-propel that was also lightweight, that I'm able to easily lift for loading and unloading from my SUV. Okay, let's get right into the performance, or failure, however you'd like to look at it. We'll start with the positives and head towards the negatives. This engine gets excellent fuel economy. And for cutting the recommended 1/3 grass, it does an excellent job of mulching. It bags okay. I haven't really had an issue. Sometimes the bag doesn't fill evenly, or if the grass is long, it doesn't bag the clippings as it should. But for the most part, I'd say it's okay. The rear discharge is poor. I feel like it was an afterthought. It doesn't perform well. If you're trying to cut overgrown grass, it doesn't mulch it well, and it doesn't rear discharge it well either. So you're really left with no good option to manage overgrown or wet grass. Even the prior model that had a side discharge, it would cut the overgrown grass and disperse it through the side discharge, and I would call that good. It still had a good cut because it was able to maintain the engine speed. This model here, it does not maintain the engine speed when it's going over the wet grass or the long grass, and it doesn't disperse it evenly with the rear discharge. So I feel like this is the worst part of the mower. It's just not able to accomplish that task. So I wanted to give you an example of a situation that this mower really struggled with. So this grass here, I would call it slightly overgrown and thick. I will be mulching it as the rear discharge doesn't work well enough for me to use it. This was very difficult for the mower to get through without stalling, and I had to cut it twice to manage the clumping. And here's the finished product. It doesn't look too bad, but it wasn't efficient with my time. I felt like it was the wrong tool for the job. Okay, let's get into the topic of maintenance. So right out of the box, I had issues with my carburetor, in which I had to make some adjustments to. I have a video on doing that. I'm pretty sure that Briggs & Stratton has sorted out that issue. Since then, I believe it was just due to the stow and go carburetors that they had initially. Other than that, I've had relatively normal maintenance. I have chose to change the oil on this machine every 25 hours with synthetic, and just your regular blade sharpening when it needs it. Air filter or pre-filter. I use a pre-filter. It just helps the air filter last a little longer, and I switch those out when necessary. So up for the first 100 hours, it's just been regular oil change, blade sharpening, and air filter maintenance, which is pretty decent. At about 100 hours, I replaced the front drive bearings, which I have a video about as well. Those were $6 each, so it costed me $12. At 133 hours, I did have my drive cable break, so I replaced that as well as with the belt. So that costed me about $36. So I did mow over a coat hanger, which broke the front wheel, but that's no fault of Toro. I also got into some rocks, which ended up cracking the plastic rear housing. I was able to use zip ties and make it work. There's one side of the transmission shaft that is showing some wear, but doesn't seem to be affecting performance. Depending on how frequently you use it, you may want to have a replacement set of wheels on hand. So I wanted to wrap up with my final thoughts. This is not an every situation lawnmower. It doesn't mulch as good as a super recycler or a Honda, but for its price point, it's pretty hard to beat. I understand the mower's shortcomings, but still like it and recommend the mower. It has good performance in general conditions, and it has low maintenance costs. If you have this mower, let me know what you think. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching.